was going to look at the Eurozone and Euro because I think a lot of people are thinking it's going to break up immediately. I don't think so. I think it's got some time and some life left in it. They're going to come up with some solutions. Not that they're the right long-term solutions in any kind of correct principle, but I don't think the euro is going to break up right away. Now, the reason I'm looking at the euro is because the euro is weighting in heavy on the prices of the metals because metals are considered risk assets by most people, and people are taking their money out of the metals and going into cash in the U.S. dollar. But this was an article that I thought I found very interesting. For the growing chorus of observers who feel that a breakup of the Eurozone might be at hand, Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany has a pointed rebuke. It's never going to happen. And keep that in mind, because in public it's almost like you're thinking something else. And I know Germany wants to, I think the public opinion in Germany is that they want to go it alone, go back to the Deutschmark, and the heck with the European Union. And I don't think that's what's being planned behind the scenes. These are basically a recap of some of the headlines going on where you see the euro is going to be breaking up because I know the issuance of the German bonds went off very badly. They didn't sell enough bonds. That just happened. But on Friday, Standard & Poor's downgraded Belgium's credit rating from AA plus to AA, stating that it might not be able to cut its towering debt load anytime soon. And also the rating agencies this week cautioned that France could lose its AAA rating if the crisis grew. And on Thursday, I guess that would have been around November 24th, because it's November 27th, articles on Sunday, the rating agencies lowered the ratings of Portugal and Hungary to junk. But some of the key phrases, talking about, unless the European Central Bank steps in, and I think that is a key phrase, to help where the politicians have failed, a euro breakup now seems probable rather than possible. That's what I think they're going to come up with a solution. There's going to be, the Wall Street Journal is alluding to bilateral agreements because to modify the treaty that the countries signed for the European Union, some countries, they have to do it by ratification process, a referendum, and it takes too long to do that. So they're going to probably bypass that and speed things up with bilateral agreements. So they might come up with a solution pretty soon. Maybe not next week, but might be, there's some kind of meeting scheduled on December 8th and 9th that you might start getting hints as what's going to happen with the euro in the near term, and it might not break up in the near term as people are expecting. This was an article about officially euro bonds are taboo, but behind the scenes nothing has been ruled out. This person who wrote this article, his name up here. I'll post a link anyway. Edward Harrison. Almost exactly 1 year ago, Edward Harrison wrote the following. In practice, you could have sovereigns conduct a sovereign debt swap whereby the European Central Bank buys an agreed-upon portion of the existing debt from the sovereigns and then uses these funds to back the supranational debt. That is typically what they do. They take a whole bunch of little debts and they repackage it into a big debt and they sell it on the open market. In future, the same agreement upon percentage of debt would be issued at the supranational level. Clearly, you have to have all Eurozone members commit in equal measure or the benefits would not accrue to the periphery. I reckon a proposal of this sort would be controversial. One should consider this a form of quantitative easing. And yes, it would be, because in effect, you're buying back your own debt just in a different way and restructuring it and selling it in a different way. But you're buying back your own debt. And that's why I think that's what's going to happen. And that basically is the euro bonds. That's not going to happen right away, but that is going to happen and maybe down the line a little bit. This is the sort of structure which could only be set up over time. It may require amendments to existing treaties. And now, that's one of the problems when you're making amendments to the treaties. Some of the countries require a referendum, which takes too much time, so they're probably going to go with the bilateral agreements. Moreover, it should be viewed as a move towards the United States of Europe. That, I think, is what the New World Order, or the people, the globalists, or whatever, would like, because it removes the national sovereignty from the individual countries, and then you can group together, maybe 10 or so regions of the world together in one big global government. I've said previously that Germans would rather defect than allow this. I think that's true, and I think Angela Merkel is playing to the crowd. So it would not be considered a legitimate political option until all more superficial remedies have failed. And that's what I was saying, is that I think the way they got everybody tied together in the Eurozone, and even the way everything is tied together globally, it's a matter of either cooperate together or you're all going to fail together. And people don't usually want to do that. Bundesbank no longer rules out the emission of common European bonds, so-called Euro bonds. The prerequisite before that happens, however, is of closer financial integration for the Euro countries. This means joint control over the budgets of member countries, including intervention rights if individual countries should violate the agreed rules. So you're putting an institution above the national sovereignty of the individual countries, and that fits right in with the New World Order. Their agreement could involve Eurobonds or a stronger commitment from the European Central Bank in exchange for a promise from everybody in Europe to put their economies on a more sustainable path. So, also German Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble on Friday said not to rule out a more active role of the European Central Bank. So, and this was again when I was repeating, because they have a very cumbersome process in changing the treaty involved in joining the European Union. The Eurozone could be considering bilateral agreements instead of treaty changes as a speedier way to get to fiscal integration. And that's coming from the Wall Street Journal. So I think this is what they're going to do. Now, Angela Merkel's ratings look pretty good in Germany in some respects as far as handling crises, because her ratings in that area have went up. But I think she's like playing an act to the crowd. That's what I think is going on, because behind the scenes they are talking about, in a long term to go to a Eurobond, but first we have to do these bilateral agreements and things like that. So I don't think Germany is going to leave the Eurozone right away, or it's going to break up right away. But in the next couple of weeks, before we get some kind of word out from a meeting that they've scheduled on December 8th, December 9th, there may be a lot of stories that the Eurozone is imminently going to break up. And what that's going to do with the metals, I imagine it's going to drop the price. In my mind, if I was in Europe and I was thinking the whole financial structure is going to break up, I'd be buying this stuff like crazy, all four. I mean, I'd just throw all my money in there. That's what I'd be doing. So it doesn't make sense what people do, but they're going into U.S. dollar, and the dollar is strengthening. It's almost up to 80. But the only side I see that, I have personally some money in this crude oil, but this is actually dangerous. Probably if it gets back up to about 102, and if the metals are going in the opposite direction, downward, very likely I'm going to dump it, and good portion of it, and go into more physical silver. And that would give me some kind of gain, but also good. If this goes below 30 or something like that, forget about it. I'm buying that stuff. And if this was over 100, it's out of here. It's into physical silver. Not that I want to care about waiting for it at $150 a barrel. It might. But just that I would see this as a more screaming deal. So in the short term, possibly the metals will keep continuing to drop because of the fears of the Eurozone. I'm not 100% sure about that, because I just don't think that everybody is just running to the U.S. dollar, and I think there is a lot of buying going on behind the scenes. and this spot price, to me, seems to be heavily manipulated. Because, I've been looking on eBay for like what they sell scrap silver for and coins and stuff like that, and people are becoming very wise to what the metals are really worth. So in many cases, it seems like they're selling quite a bit over spot. So I think, I'm not sure how much it's going to drop. I don't think it is too much more, because maybe in about a week and a half, you might be hearing words about a solution possibly coming up to the euro crisis. And what's going to happen with that? I mean, just a couple words in one direction, and all the investors are going to be flying back in the paper markets on these metals, and they'll go back up. So that's my opinion right now. I don't think the Eurozone is going to crash altogether right away. And I'm beginning to wonder about this Lindsey Williams, because if this guy, I don't think he personally is a disinformation agent, but I think there's a mixture of truth and BS that he's being fed. And that's the only, I look at his stuff and I regard it with a great deal of importance. But the way I look at his words is I have to try to verify them with people I know that are more concrete, like Mark Farber, and see how that really ties it together with going on with something else I can verify. I think he's right about what's going to happen in the Middle East, but I'm not 100% sure of what he's saying about all paper markets going down and the Eurozone going down. That I'm not 100% sure about, but I don't like the paper markets anyway. I'd rather be 90% physical metals in any respect anyway. So if I see my oil going up, and if oil and silver go up together, I might just pull cash out. Cash is king, and just keep toilet paper cash. And but if I see this oil going up and the silver going down, I know what the trade's going to be there. That's a no-brainer.